lesson here is for you to understand domain and range. First of all, if it's a function or not. If they give you a graph, always use the vertical line test. So you're going to draw in a vertical line here, and obviously because it goes through 2 points of this graph, because that red vertical line goes to 2 points on the graph, it is not a function. Now, even though I understand right here it only goes through 1 point at the beginning of the graph, or the end as you see it, it only goes 1 point. But at any time, if a vertical line goes through the graph twice, it makes the graph not a function. So therefore you would say, you would write not a function because the vertical line pass
So is that done charging?
the graph twice. Oh. You can't play till tonight, Bryce. Okay, you need to find stuff to read. Set up Katana, I'll play with you later. Okay. Not a, oh, function spelt wrong, sorry. Not a function because the vertical line passes the graph twice. Domain. Now domain, when you're looking at domain, you look at the x. If you start here on the x line, there's no graph anywhere in this range at all. So there's no negatives. If you look at, if you continue on the x, oh, there's graphs on both ends starting at 0. So your domain then is all numbers greater than or equal to 0. So you put all numbers. Oh, I spelled numbers wrong. Of 0 or greater. You can write 0 or greater. Most students understand 0 or greater. Okay. But the correct wording in math would be, I would prefer you to write all numbers greater than or equal to 0. That's the correct wording, greater than or equal to 0. So it's greater than or equal to, it can be 0 or greater. The range now is anything, I'll erase this so you can see better what I mean, anything that's on the y. Right, range is y. I know there's nothing there and nothing there, but y is also this way too, just like x. This way is also y. So y is, it can be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, -1, -1, negative. All of, in every situation y exists. So therefore, there's a y anywhere on the y line. So going, there's y there. So the range is all real numbers. That means all numbers that's out there. All number possible. If you give, there will be a graph. Okay? Because if we graph 1, 1, there's a y1, 0, 0, there's a y, there has a point there, there has a point everywhere for y. Anywhere. I hope you understand what all real numbers mean. A lot of kids get confused with that. Anyways, domain again. Same thing here. Is it a function or not? Not a function because it same reason as 1. Not a function because the vertical line passed the graph twice. Okay, I'm not going to write that again. Well, go ahead. Not a function because the vertical line pass the graph, the parabola, if you want to write the correct word for that graph, the parabola, that parabola, past the parabola. This graph right here is a parabola, twice. It's a sideways parabola, but it is still a parabola, or quadratic equation. Okay? Now you do need to know that word parabola. It is very important. Domain. Let's look at all our x. What can x be is the domain. Oh, it won't erase. Okay. If you look at all the x, here there's x something on both ends. And all the way here, here it stopped. From there, there's nothing after this. Nothing. There's no graph on both ends. Therefore, it stops at 4. So domain is 4 or less, or the correct word is less than or equal to 4. So it's less than. You can see it, all these numbers from here on. You see better from that point on. It's 4 unless there's -3, -2, -1. You say that is less than or equal to 4. That's the correct math wording. Range. Range are the y, what y can be. Okay, so y, if you look, this is the y line. Imagine this line going forever. Y can go this way forever. Y can be 8, and what x can be 7, 8. So y can be 8, 9, or whatever goes there. So it can go on forever, and both the same as on the negative side. So y can go on forever. So range is all real numbers. Okay? So sloppy, but that's the way it is. Okay. Is it a function or not? Let's use the vertical line test. For graphing, you use the vertical line test. For a table, you use look at the domain only. But vertical line test everywhere throughout the whole graph. This V is your graph. Throughout the whole graph, the vertical line only passes once. So it is a function because the vertical line only passed the graph once. Okay? Domain. Domain, remember, is the x. Domain is the x right here. Remember, this graph, see the arrow, the red arrow, it continues forever. So, there's the x is infinitely many, or all real numbers. And every x on this line, can go meet that graph. So, it's all real numbers. Domain then is all real numbers. The range, let's look at the range. The range here is the y, and remember, this line continues, doesn't stop, that's why there's arrows, so sorry. Okay? So the y, if we look at the y line, it goes on both sides throughout the whole graph, but look at this. After this, there is no graph on either side. So y can only be -5, and larger. It stops right there. The y stops right there. Anything after that, there's no more graph. So the range here is all numbers greater than or equal to, because it can be -5 also, -5. You can explain it numbers that are 5 and larger or greater that way, but I need you to start seeing it as greater than or equal to -5, because you'll hear that a lot as you get higher in math. Using the correct vocabulary is important. Okay? So, here, let's start function or not. Obviously, it's going to be a function because it's only past the vertical line once. Function, because I'll let you finish that, because most students have problems with domain and range more. I'll go over it more on Monday. Domain and range. Okay, let's look at the domain. Domain now is what x can be. Okay, here. I know it looks like there's no graph here, but remember, this continues forever. So yes, on this side, there's always going to be a graph for x. And then remember also, this continues forever. It looks like it ends, but it doesn't. It continues forever. So in every situation on x, there will be a graph somewhere. Sometimes it's not visible to the eye, but it continues forever. That's hard because it's not visual. Some kids can't see it. Okay, so domain then are all real numbers. Now, the range is what y can be. Well, y can't be up here because there's no graph up here. None. So y starts right here at this line. That line is 4. So 4 or less, or the most appropriate word is all numbers less than or equal to 4. Range is all real numbers. That means all numbers less than or equal to 4. Okay, we can skip this. I'll go over this Monday. Today is Saturday, I'm doing this. Okay, this will definitely be on a test. This will be 2, knowing your domain and range and if it's a function or not. Will be on your test on, I believe, I'm going to give it on Wednesday. Okay? So this is telling you, I didn't give you a number, you pick numbers yourself. What x can be. I'm going to pick x is 1. Okay? If x is 1, okay, what is my answer going to be? Well, x plus 3, 1 plus 3. Absolute value of 1 is 1 plus 3. My output is 4. So my ordered pair here, in order to graph, you have to have an ordered pair. It's 1 and 4. Okay? Input 1, output 4. I'm going to erase this because I'm going to need it to graph. So I'm just going to write here 1, 4. I'm going to choose 2. Well, I'm going to choose 0. 0 is always easy. 0 plus 3 is 3. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. So my ordered pair is 0. Input 0. Outcome is 3. 2. 2 plus 3. Absolute value of 2 plus 2. 2 is 2. Plus 3 is 5. So your ordered pair is 2, 5. That looks like a negative. I better erase it. Okay, my next one is any number you want. 5. Let's say 5. Absolute value of 5 plus, or negative 5. Let's make it interesting. Let's use negative numbers. Negative 5 plus 3. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. You ordered pair then, you input a negative 5. You output an 8. You get out an 8. Okay? So let's say negative 2. Absolute value of negative 2 plus 3. Absolute value now. 3 is 5. So your ordered pair is negative 2, 5. Alright. Graph this. 1, 4. It should be a V shape because anything with an absolute value, it's an automatic V shape. 0, 3, 2, 5, negative 5, 8, and negative 2, 5. Notice that if it's negative 2 and 2, they're the same spot. So if you do negative 5 and positive 5, it should be exact same, and you create this nice V shape. Okay? Here we go. Fractions. I love fractions. 1/2 times negative 4 squared. This is the same thing as 1/2 times 16. Cross cancel. 1 and 8. So your output is 8. The ordered pair then is negative 4, negative 8. Okay? 1/2 times negative 2 squared is 1/2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Cross cancel. Very important you know how to cross cancel. It is very, 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 very crucial to cross cancel. Okay? So that is 2. So your ordered pair is negative 2, 2. I need to do this faster. 1/2 times negative 1 squared. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. So ordered pair is negative 1 and 1/2. Okay, so you got 1/2 times 0 is 0. So 0, 0. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. So 1 and 1/2. 3. 1/2 times 3 squared is 9. 1/2 times 9. Can't cross cancel. It's 9 over 2 or 4.5. Make it into a mixed number. When you make it into a mixed number, here's what's important. 9 divided by 2, you get 4. 4 has a remainder of 1. Your denominator of 1, your numerator is always your remainder, and this fraction of 2 stays the 2. Okay, that's how we get our answer. As from a whole number 4, your remainder is your fraction. So that would be 3 and 4 and 1/2. 1/2 times 4 squared is 1/2 times 16. Cross cancel. Notice it is the same. 1/2 16 is 8. 8, 16. So 4 and 8. Okay, then we graph that. Negative 4, negative 8 is down here. Oh, did I not explain? State the domain. Sorry, number 1. State the domain and range from the table. Here's all the domain. So we put domain is. Let's list it all. 1, 0, 2, 5, negative 2, negative 5. Okay, range. Range is 1, 4. I'm sorry, it's 4. Range is the answer. 4, 3, 5, 8. Another 5. Do not write that range here. No, no, no. It's already there. You don't write it again. Okay? This is an absolute value graph. When it's V, it's called an absolute value graph. Is it a function? Yes, it is a function, because if you use the vertical line test, to only cross the graph once. Okay. Yes, son? No, not right now. I'm doing this. Well, you guys know this one. You should by now. Vertical line, pass through the graph, once. I can't fit it in. Anyways, that's negative 4, negative 8, negative 2, 2. Negative 2, 2 is here. Negative 1 and 1/2. Negative 1.5 is right there. It should be a parabola. Okay. It's funny. Oh, it's not negative 4, negative 8. It's negative 4, positive 8. Wrote the wrong thing. That's why it didn't look right. Negative 4, 8. Right there. helps to know. 0, 0. Right there. 1 and a half. 3 and 4 and a half. 4 and 8. Draw that graph. We call this shape a parabola. Okay, classify this graph. It's called a parabola. Okay? Domain and range of this graph. Domain, x, is all real numbers because x can be this way and that graph goes on forever. So domain is all real numbers. I can't write. I need to go buy a stylist. Okay, range. That's what y can be. Let's look at y. Well, y can't be down here because there's no graph on the y for here. Y starts there. So it starts with 0 and more. So there's graph 0. So the range is all numbers greater than 0. Or equal to 0. Okay? And one last one. This is going to be a cubic graph because there's looks like an S. Let's choose our numbers. I'll choose 1, 0, 1, and then 2 and -2. This way we get to see what it looks like. Okay? So if we input 1, we get input 1 here. We get 1 cubed minus 2. Minus 2 is -1. So 1, -1. 0 minus 2 is -2. 0, -2. -1 minus squared. Cubed. -1 cubed minus 2. It's 1 plus 2. I'm following this. Okay. Here you get 2 squared. Cubed, minus 2. There we go. That's 8 minus 2. It's 6. So ordered pair is 2, 6. Okay. -2 cubed minus 2. That's 8 minus 2. So -2 is also 6. Alrighty. Notice these have the same output, even though the input are different. Okay, so 1, -1. 1, -1 is here. 0, -2 is there. -1, 1, -1, -1. Okay, and then 2, 6. negative 2, 6. Did I cube? Uh-oh, that's a negative. Miss Wilcox, that's a negative. I did it wrong. I apologize. That's negative 3, because negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is a negative 1, not a positive. Anyways, same thing goes here. This is, oh my gosh, negative 2, negative times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. That gives you a negative 10. I apologize greatly. Just doing without thinking. So my graph is not correct. Okay, the only negative 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 0, negative 2, negative 1, negative 3. Okay, 2, 6. And negative 2, negative 10. So it looks like this. If you follow it exactly and make the line continue, it looks like an S shape. That's a cubic. Classify this graph. This is called a cubic. You'll learn this tomorrow. Cubic. Domain of the function. Please write domain is negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Range is all your answers, which is, oh my goodness, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3,